All right, everybody. Welcome back.
So I'm going to give you a great example of a great training tool to use with adult education. So just turn to the person next to you, pick an A or a B person. So do that right now. Raise your hand when you've got an A person. Don't take it personally, whether you're an A or B, okay? Number one. This is just, I'm splitting you up. This is what I call a think and listen. So the B people are going to talk first and the A people are going to listen, okay? And so who are the talkers in the room? Me. Who are the listeners naturally in the room? Natural listeners. I'm talking natural talkers, natural listeners. Okay, so you have to let go of your natural instincts. It's only going to be for a minute. So what you're going to do is the B's are going to talk and the A's are going to listen. And you're going to look at them like they are a treasure box opening up in front of you, because they are. Okay? So that's your role as the listener. You're going to look at them like what? Like they're a treasure box. Great. No comments, nothing. Just look at them lovingly, okay, while they're talking. Then we'll switch, and A will talk and B will listen. And then B's, you're going to listen like what? Thank you. You're quick learners. Okay, so the topic that you're going to talk about is what was the highlight about what you heard about the peer mentor program? Okay? So B's are going to talk first, A's are going to listen. Go. Okay, stop. Stop and switch. Now A's are the talkers and B's are the listeners. And B's, how are you going to listen? Thank you very much. Go. Okay, stop. Stop. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's called a think and listen. This is a great thing to do when you're having long trainings. Adults, just like children, have trouble taking in information in long chunks. And so this is a really good way to help you think better and process better, help people connect. You just have to get them to, and so you can do it for 1 minute. That was just a minute. You could do it for 2 minutes. It's a great way to help people process the information that they're getting. No, this isn't in the slides, sorry. One reason some of you might get bored the way we follow the slides, we do that for purposes of accommodations. But also I just wanted to demonstrate that with you because it's easy. Think and listen. Just trade time, explain people what their roles are. You don't have to use A, B, you could use L, M, whatever you wanted. So you guys did a great job. Give yourself a hand. I love hearing the room being really talkative, and I love controlling groups, so it worked good for both of us. So adults retain about 10% of what they see, 30% to 40% of what they hear and see, and 90% of what they see, hear, and do. So that gives you some information about why you need to include activities and PowerPoints and all kinds of things, because everybody learns in different ways. Some of us, how many of you know that you're visual learners? If you close your eyes, you can imagine a picture of something. I admire you so much. I wish I could. All right, how many are auditory learners? Don't hand me instruction booklets. Tell me how to do it. Or some people, I have one friend, she went through graduate school. When she finally figured out she needed to have a speech out computer system because she learned much better listening than reading. Okay? And then some of us are tactile or kinesthetic learners. Who are these people? We're the people that have to move around, so don't get upset if we're wiggling in our chairs. These chairs are great for training, by the way, because we have to move around and we have to get things by experience. So you need to know your own learning style, and you need to be aware when you're teaching others that everybody doesn't learn the same way. So trying to provide that variety so that you'll catch everybody and help everybody absorb the information. So visual learners are like show me. So using language like seeing what I'm saying, watching things, videos. Somebody asked us, could we see a video of people doing the motivational interviewing. That person is going to learn. That person probably will love YouTube because you can get instructions on how to do anything, including growing watermelons. I am living proof on YouTube. So they like graphs, they like diagrams, illustrations. So you want to make sure they can see you. And if you're a visual learner, you want to be where you can see what's going on, right? Because you're going to absorb it much better. See what I mean? Okay, and auditory learners are like tell me, they learn by listening, by speaking also. See, these auditory, because we like to hear our own voices. We remember things. So some of us like to read things out loud is a better way for us to learn if we're auditory. So that's important, and therefore it's especially important for auditory learners that they can hear what's going on, that they're up front, and that you can imagine for this group, as they're losing hearing, that's especially traumatic for them in terms of their ability to interact and absorb information. So they learn by listening to talks about things and by brainstorming and discussing with each other. Think and listens, very good. And making sure that they can hear you clearly and loudly. So if you're a soft-spoken person, you need to make sure you've got the amplification you need so that they're able to hear you. Because getting the notes isn't how they're going to learn. They're going to learn from your voice. So the kinesthetic, like I said, being physically active, getting to do something. We also, I'm one of them, anchor into feelings and emotions about things. And I think that's why it really resonated with me when I learned about disability liberation theory to really give recognition to emotions that are set in with these stereotypes, not just intellectual. Because for some of us, it's a very emotional experience, and we have to be able to discharge off emotions in order to process it. So they actually want to touch what they're learning. They like activities where they get to explore things, and they have difficulty sitting for long periods of time. So you notice I'm walking around. I cannot sit still for a long period of time. They'll get up. They like to help volunteer and help you out. They like role-playing kinds of ways to learn. And and they'll resonate with things like the term, how do you feel about what's going on? So, adult learning principles. This person, Malcolm Knowles, really developed some core learning principles for adults by observing, not by saying this is how they should learn. And creating an opportunity for an environment where there's mutual trust and mutual expectation, because adults are here through their volunteer efforts, okay, as opposed to children who are forced to be somewhere. But I think a lot of these things are very relevant to working with children too. So it has to be relevant and motivational and interactive. So, what learning shouldn't be, right? So relevance is what is in it for me. So helping people draw the connection between what it is you're showing them how to do or teaching them how to do and how it relates to them is going to be how they'll absorb it. And that's why bringing a disability panel makes such a difference for people, because they're actually seeing real human beings that are demonstrating the principles you're talking about, and it's being role modeled to them by the whole group. So they want to apply what they're learning. I heard that the motivational training that Robbie had, they did one day of training and then came back 2 weeks later for another day. So they had time to practice in between. So setting your trainings up so there's that opportunity to go out and have assignments to try things out in between classes are really important. And letting them know what the benefits or the cost of that learning is. And then relevance to demonstrate through practical application, problem solving, and action plans. about how they're going to take this with them. So I'm hoping like throughout this, you're looking at that page at the back of your binder and starting to make some notes to yourself about what you want to be taking back. I heard someone in the bathroom, I won't identify who you were because I didn't see who you were, but saying, oh, I'm so revved up. I've got so much when you go back. And then you go back to work and it's like a train going 100 miles an hour, right? So you want to write some of these things down so that you can take it with you. Self-direction. So the teachers are more of a facilitator, a guide. So we have to really incorporate what the group wants to give us in that learning experience as much as what we want to give them. And so I will always put out, okay, these are some goals I have for you. I want to know what your goals are for the training, and I put them down and then can check in and see. Because I know what I want to give you, but I want to make sure you get what you have, or right at the beginning, this is not what we're going to talk about today. Okay? So you're not disappointed. Making things as interactive as possible, giving them responsibility and choices, and opportunities to assess their own learning. So doing some before and after kind of exam things are really nice to help people notice what they're learning, or to go back the next week and then go back over and check in about what happened last week, what was the high point, what did you learn, what didn't work for you before you go into something new is really powerful for them. And then, of course, opportunities to discover things on their own. So this next week, what will you notice that relates to what you learned this week? And then checking in with them. Respecting and valuing their experiences. So it's so important. We got given this curriculum for training people on how to be on boards and councils, which was really good. And it says be interactive, but then they didn't plan enough time for that interaction. And yet there was so much learning going on, which we see all the time in Centers for Independent Living amongst the people in the group. So you have to be realistic about time, that there's enough time for that kind of interaction to go on, and that that's as valued as whatever you think you're giving them. So show them role models, bring in community speakers with disabilities. That's, I think that's, we kind of know that, right? And one thing I remember, one of the early volunteer coordinators I had did not have a visible disability. It turned out over time that she did have a disability that she finally disclosed. This was 25 years ago, and there was a lot of negative stereotypes about mental health disabilities. So she wasn't forthcoming for quite a long time. But she always knew to take somebody with her that has a visible disability when she was doing presentations, and having them do part of the presentation, which was really valuable. So, this is talking about experience as a source of adult self-identity. And so that's always something you might forget, that people are coming in with an identity already. And so the learning they're having may have to cause them to change their self-identity, and that's a process. It's not an instantaneous thing. For some people, it's an instantaneous thing, but for some people, it's a process. And they may not have been aware of previous biases until they came in there. I had a staff person who'd been through my, liberation class and stuff. And then one day, she was actually a volunteer coordinator for me. One day she said, now I get it why I've always been uncomfortable around people with mental health disabilities. And I said, well, tell me. And she was a longtime advocate in the community. She happened to be a chair user. She said, well, because I had an aunt who had a mental health disability, and when she was coming to visit the house, my mom would put all his kids in the closet. Wow, that explained a lot. That was a big deal. Okay, now she knows that. Now that's rippling through her for the next several months about what that's meant for her. And feelings are involved, okay? So take time to address any erroneous or preconceived ideas that come up, or even to mention that they may be there, that are unspoken as you're giving them new information. They're there by choice, so they don't want to just sit there and listen to you. They want to be involved. So this think and listen, this is, oh, good, I did say it in here. So this think and listen is a great way to break up trainings, just to give everybody a break for a minute and help people absorb the information, come back fresh. It's not just a learning process. You know, I'm a counselor by trade. Feelings are involved, whether they know it or not. Time. Get time to know your audience. Adults are busy. They have many responsibilities. So that's something that I really had to learn in this last training I did, which is remembering that people have other things besides what you're giving them to do. So be careful about homework and things like that. And don't think that people are just sloughing you off. You do not know what's going on in their life. And you may not have time to know, but I would say give them the benefit of the doubt and don't think that they're just necessarily being slouchy about it. It's kind of like how doctors assume someone's treatment resistant, but they don't really know why they're not doing the treatment that was recommended, why it's not really fitting for them or their lifestyle or their finances or their transportation or any of those things. So respect their time, but we, as you know, always have to be flexible for them. We want them to respect our time, but if they're using public transit, they have limitations that are beyond their control. Making the learning convenient for them, and this, you know, don't put too much burdens on them with homework, and give them information in manageable chunks. So task-centered learning is really helpful for people to have clear expectations and learning outcomes, to kind of tell them in the beginning what it is and then say, did we get there? Are you getting it? At the end of a class, if there's another class, then at the next class, whether this is individual meeting with them or whether you're in a group. But you've got to give time for it if you're in a group for this kind of checking in. Breaking things down into steps. And does one thing, letting them know, does one thing need to come before another? One of the first things I learned when I came to work at the center was that we don't believe in a continuum of care here, you know? And so that worked really good for me because I like to know what people's heart's desires are first and then work backwards, like was presented the other day. Because then now you know what lights their fire, and that's what's going to motivate them. And if they say, used to have a joke, I want to be a princess, great. I know several people who have become Miss Wheelchair Arizona and were fabulous advocates while they were Miss Wheelchair Arizona. It fulfilled that desire, and they were also being powerful advocates in the community. So that's pretty cool, right? And then, of course, helping them identify the skills that are needed to get to that place, to get to that task. So the goal is to join a board. If this is a goal, then you have to break it down into those steps for them. So thinking about that is always helpful. And if you're not a person that thinks about the progression of steps very well, then you might have to get help from somebody else. Like, I am not a linear thinker. You may have noticed that about me. So sometimes I need help from staff like April, who is a good linear thinker for planning things. And then teach that to the people that you're working with too. Let them share with them what you've learned that helps you learn, so that it spurs that's what I love about cross-disability groups, because people's creativity is spurred to live their own life the best way they can by meeting people with a lot of different disabilities, right? That's what's so fabulous. It's like, okay, if I meet someone with arthritis and psoriasis, I'm just a little bit comparing, are you doing arthritis better than me? So there's some things we share, you know, about that. Like, do you love being in a 90-degree water pool like I do? But there's also things that I learned from my friend who is blind or my friend who is a wheelchair user, that I see them doing their life, and it inspires me to do the best me life I can in whatever creative way that is. And so we want to point that out to each other. So this is just an example on the slide of if it is you want to be on a board or a commission, you want to identify what you have to offer, you want to identify an organization you're interested with, you want to get to know about the organization, and skills that you need are to understand parliamentary procedure, Robert Rules of Orders, to understand how important networking is, to understand self-advocacy and good communication skills. So when you go in there, you're able to speak up instead of just sitting through the whole thing and thinking, these guys are screwed and they don't know it. You have to speak up. Excuse me, I have something to bring up. And then background in disability history, culture, civil rights. Why do I want to have that? Because if I'm on a board and commission, I am not just representing me, I'm representing other people with disabilities, and I need to know more than just about my own life and my own disability. So those are how to chunk it down. Introducing interactivity wherever possible, so like case studies, brainstorming exercises, and you're seeing that's what we do here, facilitated discussions, role plays, problem solving, things to get people up and interacting. They'll then absorb this as practical information. Adults need practical information. And then to check to see if they're understanding. Cognitive accessibility is the practice of ensuring that the content's accessible to everyone, including people with intellectual disabilities. So I just did this last leadership class, and I had someone in there who was deaf and also had some low vision. And it was really near the end of the class that she started explaining more that we were going too fast for her with the interpreter and that we needed to slow down. And I really praised her for telling us that because I needed to know it. And therefore, wherever she goes, if she asks for what she needs, she's teaching everybody she's with about how that works. And she'd never thought of it that way. She's embarrassed because she's asking for herself, as if we all have had this when we have to ask for an accommodation, like it's just too much trouble, right? Whereas what she's really doing is role modeling for everybody wherever she goes, for the entire deaf community, about what's needed to work with somebody who has an interpreter. And over time, she started to get that, and me, who's Speedy Gonzalez here, started to get able to slow things down. So the accommodation I made for her was I invited her to come in or call me anytime that she needed help to catch up to what was being discussed. And she did. She came in and we had an incredible conversation about what networking really meant. And she was the one out of the group that already during the class took on a leadership role. And of course, what was the hardest part about that? Personalities on the board, right? Anybody been on a board? That's one of the hardest things, right? I see some smiles. Yeah. So using easy, plain language. So she didn't have a cognitive disability, but because of her needing to use interpreters, she needed information slowed down. She needed things repeated. She needed easy language. So both, more than one population needs this. It doesn't involve really simplifying the concepts. It does mean conveying the information as directly and as clearly as possible, and then checking in to make sure people are getting it. And you have to check in more than once because people who are not getting it are embarrassed to tell you that. And so whenever anybody does say it, praise them in the class because that role models for the others that they can do it. So important, whether you're working with people with disabilities or not. Avoid acronyms and jargon. I make that problem all the time. DES, SRC, blah, 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 blah. So again, praise people that call you on it so that they'll call you on it more and people will know they have permission to do it, right? This is everything I've learned from all the mistakes I've made. From big to small, from whole to part. So begin letting him know where you're going, but then break it all down and then show him again where you've been, is my common language for that. building on what's known, so you try to tie information into things, examples that they can already relate to, and building on your presentation incrementally, referring back frequently to previous steps and the underlying concepts. So rotating information, going over information is always really good, and checking in with your audience to see how they're doing. Visual supports are helpful. I like them, pictures, symbols, photos. And so here's one of my examples. It's a cartoon called Progress by Scott Chambers, who is hilarious in my mind. And it's got a person sitting in front of a ramp in a wheelchair. And the ramp goes up to a guillotine with a man with a sack over his head, a hangman. And so this is progress, right? People usually laugh at this cartoon. What's wrong with you guys? And then this cartoon, which I got many years ago by Scott Chambers. These are all from the mouth, the old disability mouth. This brain has a mouth, from Lucy Gwynn. So this cartoon is called The Victim Channel. And there's a TV screen with a weather woman pointing to clouds with rain coming down and a number 35. And the caption reads, "The weather today will be really unfair." So that I use this one when we're talking about the pity idea. Goal development. The purpose of goals is for the consumer to identify what outcome they want, empowering them by creating accountability and ownership and investment on their own part. How does this relate to you? Why are you here? Why are you staying here? What are you getting out of this? Does it matter to you? And with skill instruction, best practices include setting and writing goals that are clear to all parts if and when the goals have been met. So did we get there? Do we know how we got there? And that are easy to measure. Example, transportation goal, the consumer will master taking the bus to and from a desired destination better. Consumer will master taking the bus to the corner of Market Street and first to the corner of Market Street and 24th. Because then they know they've really gotten something done, okay? And then that gives them a sense of accomplishment. Housing goal, good examples, easy to measure. Consumer will get her name on the Park City Section 8 waiting list. Consumer will secure housing within 200 feet of a subway station or a bus route. Consumer will secure safe, affordable housing. Harder to measure, right? Sometimes this is as specific as the consumer can get. Then we have to define when the goal is achieved or update the goal when they can be more specific.
I want to just say that when I'm going to be talking about independent living skills instruction, my comments are intended to really help in being general enough that you can take the information and use it and apply it in your part of the world. I don't want my comments to think this is the way that we do it in Phoenix and this is Ability 360 and set ourselves up on some big pedestal because of the way we do life here. That's not the intent at all, but rather how can we work together? Here's some ideas that we've had. Incorporate what you can use, toss away the rest, learn from each other, okay? So if we can do that. As far as also with this, I think it's really important to kind of dovetail onto what Amina just said about learning styles. When we're doing independent living skills instruction, people learn so many different ways, like Amina said. And you really need to be cognizant of that and really find out from your consumer what resonates best for them. Are they the auditory? Are they the tactile? You know, what visual? What works for them? So with the this can be done on a one-to-one basis or group instruction. Many times the INRs that we've talked about already this week and other services can be good sources for IL skills instruction. and that additional consumers in this service area can mean more service records, consumer service records. And with more service records, that's more money. Because again, you're promoting an open case, and with open cases, you can go back to your funders and say, look, here's our numbers. The referrals can come from anybody. You know, you can have the individual themselves, they can have a family member, agencies. It doesn't really matter. You know, the term now is, no wrong door or whatever. Like, okay, it's a tricky term of saying we accept referrals. And we really, when we talk about family referrals, I think most people in the room will agree, be very, very cautious when you have a family member referring someone for IL skills. Because if you have an adult child or 22-year-old and the parent is saying, I think my kid could really benefit from IL skills training from your agency. Great intention. Good intention. God bless them, right? But if that 22-year-old child says, thanks but no thanks, right? You gotta listen to the 22-year-old. You do. So you can talk about family dynamics, what's the intent, and then maybe have that conversation. It's been brought to our attention that perhaps goal setting or financial management might enhance your life, and show them the benefits. That, life is good, but maybe services can help make it better. And this is maybe what your mom has, recommended. But bottom line is, if you want our services, we're here for you. And if you don't, here's my number and give us a call when you're ready. The meetings that can happen in their home, in the office, in the community, and as I mentioned earlier, depends on the person, the needs, and the capacity. So again, that home environment depends on the goal, the objective, the content, but always be in a safe and appropriate place for meetings. I think a lot of times staff goes out to like a public library, and those are great places. Perfect, those little meeting rooms or whatever, right? But be careful and be I guess not careful, be aware of the location in which you're meeting with someone. How public is that area, and what type of topics might you be talking about that morning? Are you talking about some issues that potentially could be very, very personal? And if you're going to do that, you don't want to have their business out in public. And it doesn't matter, I don't think, it doesn't matter if you're in a small town where everybody knows your business, or if you're in a big city, it doesn't matter. If I'm providing skills training to Amina, and we're in a public library, Brian or Shannon or Molly or anybody can just hear what we're talking about, and Amina's sharing her business. Do you want that out there? So be careful. The one-on-one work reaches the person where they're at, and always be where they're at. If you come in with a preconceived idea of where this thing is going, you're not listening. You're not listening well. We talked about it earlier this week. Remember, you're working off from their perspective, their life experience. Maybe it's different from your beliefs on a religious basis, from experiential basis. And maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, but always focus and listen. You have 2 ears. Listen to what the person's saying and really tune into their perspective and respect that. We find that the group instruction can save time and travel. A number of years ago, we started to realize that so many of our consumers with independent living skills were needing and wanting financial management. And how many really find that as a priority for people? Hands. Okay? Well, yeah, a lot of people, right? So we thought, rather than doing all, 20 different one-on-ones for financial management, let's get a group going and have a class. And it really can save time. From a staffing standpoint, it's efficient to do a class with 20 consumers talking about budgeting, balancing a checkbook, setting up a checking account, those types of things. Going through a budget, if you're on Social Security disability, doesn't matter, fixed incomes, whatever. How do you set up a budget that's going to fit for your needs? If we can do that with one session of 90 minutes for 20 people, as a manager, I'm saying, okay, we're doing good. We're maximizing our time here. The challenge that we all sometimes see is with different ability levels. Some are up here and they're ready to talk to a financial planner, and they're able accounts. And others, they're at the starting point. And so then you have to challenge yourself in being able to adapt to all those levels within the class. Just something to think about. And both, the class work can certainly complement the one-on-ones. So they do, it's not an either-or situation at all. Some of the useful skills, goal setting, self-advocacy, the financial management, home safety. Boy, I tell you, more and more people are coming across our office who are hoarders. Oh my gosh.
Have you walked into one of those houses?
Yeah. I mean, you've probably already gone into a home that is a hoarder, and how do you respectfully say, well, and not hurt anybody's feelings or offend folks. The assertiveness versus aggressive is another one. Socialization, relationships, interpersonal skills, and this dovetails to a peer mentor. The stress management. We do this over the holidays because, in November, December, with the holidays, there's a lot of stress. Expectations by society about what the holidays should look like. Norman Rockwell, that's the standard. Happy family getting together around the tree and having gifts. That's the standard. Well, if that's not your reality, then there's a lot of stress. Financial stress. Oh, I need to get everybody gifts. I can't afford it. Sexuality. We did a class about a year ago for the first time in quite a while, and from a management standpoint, I was pretty nervous because I knew that there were going to be some folks with developmental disabilities and cognitive impairments and a wide variety. I'm like, I didn't want to have consumers leaving the class thinking, okay, great, we're going to get some condoms and we're going to go at it tonight, right? Or even skip the condoms. We're just going to go after because we went to the sexuality class, and have something misinterpreted. I wanted to make sure. So I had an instructor from another agency come in and give the presentation to my independent living skills staff and myself. I wanted to preview it. I was thinking that was doing due diligence. She did a fabulous job. We had a huge turnout. We recently did it again, and she came back another time and presented for us again. Because you know what, folks, as you know, folks with disabilities do have sex. I know, it's shocking to the world out there, I know, right? The world out there, and if people with disabilities have sex, it's only with other people with disabilities, right? Yeah, okay. Right?
They may want to, right?
Or they may want, yeah. The nutrition and cooking skills, another part of it. I tell my wife that, back in the day when I was doing one-on-one work with consumers, I actually taught cooking skills, and maybe teaching someone to cook one-handed if they had a stroke or something. And she's like, "Really? You don't cook at home?" What do you mean you taught people? And what is it? What's the old saying? If you can't do, then teach. No. But cooking skills is important for self-reliance and independence. Attendant management and using the public transportation. These are just some areas. A lot of curriculums out there, a lot of information. You develop your own, whatever it is. So with the group instruction and the peer mentoring, group classes allow for peer mentoring to happen organically. It is so cool to see when you have a group of 20 consumers or 7 consumers, whatever your number, and you have those teachable moments that as staff you don't even plan for, and they just kind of happen on their own, and you walk out of the class like, oh my God, it was so cool because these 2 people connected and they mentor each other and didn't even plan for that to happen, but how cool is that? And that's another side benefit of doing the service in a group setting. Learning the skills in the community. For example, planning an outing. The trip. Let's say if you take a trip to the zoo or something. The trip utilizes multiple skills such as planning, travel skills, money management, communication skills, establishing a comfort level of being out and about. There's so many things that are involved. It's not just a one piece, but so many pieces coming together and interwoven amongst the different parts.
I just say, because I've observed your unit doing this too, and they don't decide what it is. The group comes together with what it is. They make plans about what kind of things they want to do out in the community, just like they make plans about what they're going to do for the next cooking class. And the teachers in that class are peer mentors, are people with disabilities themselves that are part of the group that just happen to have been chefs, and it smells really good at our place when they're having that group.
Learning out in the community also gives the staff person a chance to support the individual and assess what skills need to be taught. So, again, with the socialization part of independent living skills, it's great when someone comes. I think there's a couple ways that people can kind of get their toe wet with the center, and one is coming to a social rec event, because that way they can sit back in the corner, observe the group, kind of get a feel for it, don't have to really engage, and then maybe they get more comfortable because they realize it's okay. And that gets people involved with the skills training too. It's all working together. Teaching the skills, utilize situations that arise organically as much as possible. Prioritize with the person which skills that they want to learn first. Utilize open-ended questions and formalize checklists. And one thing I would caution is do not have the consumer set too many goals at once. It's kind of a fine line for me when you do an intake and you give them the sheet and there's like 20 different categories that they can choose to set goals on, and you have a consumer who just checks off all 20. And that's great because it's a consumer choice. You set your goals. Here's the form, right? But when you see all 20 of them chosen, okay, that's not really realistic. Maybe we can set 2 or 3 right now. What are the priorities? And help talk through based on their belief system, on their experience, where are they at? What are 2 or 3 things that you want to work on right now? Or even just let's go with 1 right now. Don't want to spread yourself too thin. And you know what? You accomplish that one, we can go on to the second and third one later. We're always here for you. Good way of doing it. Acknowledging that the skills that you may want to teach may not be what they want to learn. You need to respect that, consumer choice. And you need to, let me say that again, they may want to learn skills that you don't think are a priority right now. You need to respect that. You need to zip it and accept it. Teach in the moment when you don't have the luxury to prioritize. And as the needed skills become more obvious, take time to teach and reteach the skills. Repetition, based on a lot of different variables. Repetition is a good thing. Sometimes it's very helpful and very necessary. The independent living skills training and learning to be a self-advocate fit hand in glove. Provide the consumer with support in making their own phone calls, writing emails, etc., for resolving personal situations. Use the application process and snafus with benefits or housing applications as teachable moments. There again, it would be really easy to pick up the phone and say, I'm going to call my good friend Shannon over at the Public Housing Authority, and I'm going to get you help. And because, I know she's a great professional, I'm going to help her. I'm going to give her a call, she's going to help us out. It would be easier for me to do that with my consumer sitting here, but that doesn't do the job. You're not being a good staff person by doing it that way. You're not. The better way is to say, look, Amina, here's some questions that you might want to ask Shannon when you talk to her over at the Housing Authority. And I'm right here. Let's put her on speakerphone. Bless you. Let's put her on speakerphone, and I'm right here. You're here in my office. Let's give Shannon a call. I'm right here to support you. I got my pom-poms. My staff laughs at me like he keeps talking about his pom-poms, but you have to be a cheerleader. That's part of it, is being a cheerleader and saying, you can do this. Oh, but she works at the Housing Authority and they have so much responsibility over my housing. Yeah, but you know what? You can do it. Let's make that call. I'm right here to support you. That may take a little bit more time, but it's so much more effective and empowering for the consumer. And that may be a new technique for some of you. But use it. Try it. You might like it. Support them in arranging their own transportation. Yeah, I tell you, I know Amin and I have gone over this, so many times where we like to have one of our accessible vans available to pick someone up to come to one of our events as an intro to bring them into the center. It's a great entree. Make it easy for them. Come on in. We've got a van, pick you up. That's a good intention, but you know what? Now we've set the bar really high. We have a really friendly driver that's going to come to your door and bring you straight to our center. And to think, okay, now, after a bit, we're asking you to take Dial-A-Ride, or the public bus, or light rail. That's not as nice as having your friendly driver come right to my door on a timely basis. And so we've gone back and forth about this over so many years. But do you do that service right up front to bring them in, reel them in, or not? And a lot of times you don't have the option. We have the luxury of having a couple of accessible vans. Not everybody does. But encourage and guide the person in registering to vote. Oh my gosh, is there not a better, stronger, more vocal advocate to get people to vote than this woman right here? I'm serious. I mean, she has had contest every month for staff
People to do it.
to bribe people to sign up and register. You know, I have learned so much from this woman in that regard, and it's
I bribe staff. There's a contest to see who gets the most people registered. I don't pay people to actually register to vote.
The Election Commission will be contacting us at 602-296. No. But I encourage people to vote. I mean, that's the strongest way to get involved, right? You know that. Connect the dots in becoming a peer advocate and getting involved in systems advocacy. That's part of IL skills training as well. The natural connection to transition and diversion. We'll talk about transition and diversion later, but I just want to say that the IL skills are usually not taught and are often lost in an institution. It doesn't usually happen real well. You want to more so. You want to have peer mentors come to a nursing home. It helps to light that light bulb. Quick example: we had a transition staff person years ago talk to a gal who's in a nursing home. An accident. She's a mother of 2 young daughters. Coming out of rehab to an institution, and she'd been there for like, I don't know, that transition period, like 7 years now. Yeah, I know, right? And the 2 daughters are living with grandma, her mom, and our transition person comes in the nursing home and said, "Hey, how'd you like to live on your own? Get your own place, move out of here." Folks, we could have just as well been describing life on Mars. It was such a foreign concept to her. Had no concept that she, with her new disability, now 7 years long, could actually live out in community. He came back a second time. Bless you. Came back a second time. All of a sudden, you can kind of tell that the light bulb started to flicker a little bit. Well, maybe there's something here. Had a peer mentor come in, talk to her about it. Eventually, she moved out, got her own place, went back to the community college. Her daughters are living with her. Life is good. But it was having that support and natural flow starting in the nursing home. But to teach IL skills, cooking skills and stuff, it doesn't happen. Some people are fast-tracked in an institution because they're perceived as not having the skills to live independently. Well, we've seen that, right? And not only do we assist the person in getting out of the institution, partly through developing IL skills and living in the community, but by building those skills. And we can help people avoid reinstitutionalization or going into the institution in the first place. And that's the diversion that we'll talk about tomorrow. As far as program evaluations, you have the one-on-one and group program evals. And really check in, how do you measure success? You can say, well, this person attended 5 IL classes. Well, great, 5's a good number, but what was the impact? What did they learn? How do you measure that? So it's simply not a matter of number of classes or number of attendees or number of consumers. Simplify your survey questionnaire so the consumer understands it. And what's being asked, and how are the services increasing your level of independence? That's the core question. How did the class increase your level of independence? And we have resources. So we have all of 4 minutes remaining for questions or comments of either one of us.
Do you see that you predominantly have, with your peer groups, do you find that there's predominantly one group that attends either by disability or age, that it's predominant in your peer groups?
No, completely cross disability. We've seen over the years more people with intellectual disabilities, learning disabilities, and mental health disabilities coming to our center. Even though there's a lot of programs out there, they want to come to our center in an integrated environment.
And I think part of that has been because some of the services have been cut statewide. for people with mental illness and such. So while other services were cut, now they're coming over. So
We're free.
that group has gone up.
Right?
Yeah, we're free. Yeah. Jerry.
Thank you. On the checklist, I'm fascinated with that idea. How do you keep that from being limiting? Do you have like another category, and how universal is it? How do you structure it? Obviously I could look at like what you do, but I'd just be grateful for kind of a broader.
Are you talking about the goal list and when
Yes.
they pick 1,000,000 goals?
Yes.
You say
right.
that's really nice, and now just what he said. Now let's start off with 2 or 1 or 2. So they're there, and sometimes they'll come back and have done the goal over here along the side because the opportunity opened up, because life isn't like that. It's not linear. But you have to get them to settle down. That's part of the problem in their own life, is learning how to set a goal that's accomplishable and getting it done. So you're building self-confidence as well as getting that skill learned, or whatever it is, that resource acquired.
Yeah, I think too, Jerry, what you do, what we've done is, while they might be enthusiastic to do all 20, just say, okay, great, love the enthusiasm, but let's break it down, and let's, break it down into smaller bites.
Yeah.
And help, again, talk it through so that they can self-identify 1 or 2.
Awesome.
Because that's either a person that's really going to go far or not go anywhere. So,
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can I ask another question?
No, one per customer. Yeah, of course.
For you, Jerry, anything.
For of course.
Thank you. So if you have staff that you're working with that have an orientation that might be towards casework, how do you kind of help them shift into that IL philosophy? What's sort of some secret sauce to that? How would you do that?
That often is, we have to often retrain people. That's true.
Yep.
You've had to do that.
Yeah. I think it comes back to maybe what we talked about earlier, yesterday maybe, is that when you're hiring folks, I always look at the fit ability. Can you really picture this person fitting into your culture? Because someone with tremendous academic background, or maybe a lot of state government or whatever, they may have a great resume, but does that person fit? Can you see them fitting into your IL culture? That's part of it. And then some of it, like Amina said, is just simply retraining.
I'm not sure if this is the appropriate place for this question, but it's been going through my mind for a couple of days now. We, sounds like everybody else, have got a real housing crisis where we're from. And it seems like I'm hearing people are going out and actively recruiting people to get out of nursing homes, and I understand that's our job, but it seems a little cruel to go in and ask somebody, do you want to get out? Do you want to live in the community? And they have no place to put them. There is no opportunity. So how do you manage that?
Right, and we can, I think we all can bust out about 4 times as many people as we do if the housing was available. I think part of it is just having those realistic expectations, and for us anyway, we have a few properties that have a lot of turnover. And so we can tap into those. And by educating the property managers that we're here as a resource to help fill their units when they come available. And I've got a really cool thing coming up over the noon hour with housing, so stay tuned.
Well, I also want to say something about that. I don't know which reintegration staff he was talking about, but we had one guy who was a Native American who we helped get out of a nursing home and into shared living experience, who eventually went back to school about 4 different times, was one of our first peer mentors. We ended up creating the reintegration program around him, actually. But he was bringing a volunteer to work in my unit for months before I realized she was living in a nursing home. And it was one of those situations of her getting ready, but also a place to move to. And so she was out and completely involved. She learned the public transit system. She was an amputee, double amputee, as was he, learned the system, and in the end helped us create the American Indian Summit that we have annually. So, that's what people used to do. They used to live in nursing homes and go out to work. So, like, you get them out and get them moving and doing things.
But I think to your question about not having a false carrot out there that you can move out if you really don't have a place to move to, I think that's a very fair question, and I think, again, it's education to people in the housing industry, that you're a resource to help them fill their units. So.
Okay.
Gee, me getting married was a false carrot for a long time, but it happened eventually.
All right. Thanks so much. Great job,
All
you
right.
all.